Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we have a new mod review today. You see, a long time ago, a very long time ago, Games Workshop came up with an army list that was published in White Dwarf focusing around a GNOBLAR Horde. And it's as bad as you sound, if you can imagine, because it was just a gigantic meme. However, that meme hasn't died in people's memory, and it's very obvious with this new mod known as the GNOBLAR Horde by Stratovarius. This is in case you want to have a few more GNOBLARs, or you want to turn Total War Warhammer 3 into, well, super serious legendary mode. Because, yeah, imagine trying to beat the game with only GNOBLARs. But let's check out the units, because there's a lot of units. So first, let's look at the Blood GNOBLARs. I guess we can consider them an elite unit. It's going to be very strange here. Overall, decent stats. Decently armored too, especially for a GNOBLAR. Armor piercing. They've got expendable, meat shield. They also have a few different augments, as you can see, like big name. This allows them to spot enemies from quite a decent distance. You've got GNOBLAR traps too, which will reduce speed, and charge damage from the enemy. Overall, this is a pretty good unit. Keep in mind that they can also vanguard too, so this is a front line for you at the very least. So if you're dealing with stuff that is going to be hiding, possibly this is the best one for you. The basic GNOBLARs have been expanded too, so here we have the GNOBLARs with shields, so this gives them shielded, expendable, and meat shield. Nothing too big. Keep in mind that these are the lowest tier of GNOBLAR that you can get. They don't have any anti-large damage. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not. I guess, you know, GNOBLAR spears are usually going to be considered stuff like toothpicks, but they do a decent amount of stuff. There's another variant too with additional hand weapons, or better yet said, dual weapons in Total War. This gives them anti-infantry, expendable, and meat shield. Again, very low tier, but it's something that you kind of want. Either way, they're not going to do a lot of damage, but maybe when you're fighting other GNOBLARs, you're in a better position. Next, we have the Manbiters, which have decent stats all around. Shielded 2, expendable, meat shield, decent leadership for a GNOBLAR, which is actually really surprising. Again, stats aren't going to be great, but they should pair up with that of, you know, Empire State Troops and all that. They're stronger than Skaven Slaves, that's the main thing, because, well, you know, it's a big army and you've got a lot of variety. I'd say that these work out quite well. I've been playing with this mod and I've been going for a GNOBLAR only playthrough. It's difficult. It's very difficult, but it is fun. The Groin Biters are a weaker variant, but still pretty useful, you know, shielded, expendable, meat shield. Poor leadership, however, so they will have a little bit of an issue there, but then again, you are using GNOBLARs over and over, so you're going to have leadership trouble all around. These are an effective low tier unit, especially early campaign. You're going to be using quite a few different things. Variety is definitely there, and you do have a lot of different types, as you can see. Those are all the units being added in through this mod, so you do have quite a lot. Next, we have the Boglars, which you might remember from another supplement. So these are expendable, meat shield again, aquatic, because these, yes, they are aquatic goblins. It's a very weird thing. I don't know what happened with Games Workshop with just like introducing a lot of different types of goblins and GNOBLAR variants. But yeah, these, I believe, came from Albion. So they're a ranged unit. They're also able to vanguard. Decent range overall, 120. Isn't really that bad. They're not going to do a lot of damage because, you know, it's a GNOBLAR once again. But it is pretty decent. And you might hear me laughing, and that's just because, I mean, it's a GNOBLAR faction. It's very strange. Next, we've got the Squiggy Back Riders, and yeah, so it's a mounted variant. These are Vanguard. They're pretty decent. They're not going to do a lot of big damage. Don't expect these to hit like a well, pretty much anything big charging, but it's still pretty cool. It gives you a bit of variety. It does give you something to move around quite quick, because overall their speed is really good, and I feel like they're quite enjoyable to use, at least from my playthrough at the very least. Alright, next we have the Lucky Gits, and this is going to be a unit that you'll use often because they're essentially the GNOBLAR version of the Savage Orc. You can see that they've got spell resistance, some physical resistance, ward save. They're very powerful overall. And by that I mean just powerful over other GNOBLARs, but they've got a lot of really good benefits, and it does make them pretty beefy. I've seen them go toe-to-toe with some Bloodletters. That's obviously after upgrading these guys a while, because there is a way to upgrade them and make them better. I do find them to be quite a good unit overall, and I really enjoy using them. I think that's the main thing. I mean, they're cool, and you know, cool factor is like the big thing here. And lastly, for unique units, not including lords and heroes, we have the flingers, so decent range, 120. It's not bad. It'll add you some more support. Like, in general, they're not great, like I said, but a decent amount of ammunition. You can focus fire a bunch of things. If you use these paired up with some trappers, and you pair them up quite nicely with the lucky gits, you should have a decent army. I'm just saying decent, not great, right? Like, this is supposed to be a pure meme stack. So we do have a unique Lord and Hero variant, the first being the Head Honcho. This is your Lord variant. This is for campaigns. Right now, this is only available to you if you play as an Ogre faction, but eventually, the modder Stratovarius says that he would like this to make this a unique sub-faction, so you only play as Gnoblars. And the Head Honcho's pretty good overall. You can see decent stats, it's got decent effects going around, obviously it's expendable too, and poor leadership. You can mount it up on a squig, which does make it a lot more mobile, but it really depends on what you want to do with it. When it comes to campaign, they're recruitable right from the very beginning, and this is quite good as they are very useful, especially if you just want to have a cheap army following around. The great thing too is they do have a decent stat value. This has always been a good thing. I mean, it's still a Gnoblar, so I mean, don't expect the best thing possible. But as you can see, they also have access to their own unique trees just for skills. So if you go to the section which just normally boosts up your units, this is focused around improving your Gnoblars as a whole. So usually they'll just focus on melee defense or damage, weapon skill, all that type of stuff. But it's for all your Gnoblar units. So you can actually make your Gnoblars pretty decent. It's just one of those things that it's going to take a while to get used to, I think. But there's a lot of different skills you can see. It actually makes them very unique. They do feel like proper lords. They do feel like proper lords. But it's going to take some time to get used to. At least that's how I felt. There is also a hero character. It's a hybrid. It's got decent stats all around. It's also got poison and a few other effects. It's got range, like I said. The thing is, right now, the time of recording this video, it's currently not working in campaign. I've already spoken to the modder, and he says that he's going to investigate. But, yeah, it's a decent hero character, which is good to have some single entities. Again, this is just in case you want to just go full Gnoblar, which I would recommend. If you're, like, right now getting bored of Warhammer 3, which is kind of understandable because we haven't had anything new for a while, try it out because I'm really enjoying it. It's really strange, but I'm really enjoying it. All the units can be found in your main settlement building, so you're going to naturally get them as you start taking over settlements and upgrading them to tier 3. So it's not like you need to build something new, which is going to make you just miss out on all the other bonuses that the ogres have, since you're playing as ogres anyway. So I think it works out quite well. It's nice that everything's just scrunched up there without just making you go to all these different buildings, especially since like the ogre buildings are kind of weirdly laid out. So I've played with the mod for a few hours, and this is a battle with a healthy mix of different Gnoblars, all at rank 1, versus a different type of mix. It's actually the same mix that you would have seen in a previous mod review of a Nurgle. Now, the thing is, obviously, since this is custom battle, you're not going to be able to get all the benefits from, like, say, for example, tech, or even the skills, so this is not going to go too well for me. But the idea is just to talk about my experience with the mod, and I'd say, it was different. It was definitely different. It was a lot harder than expected, but really fun. I must say that I find it really enjoyable. Look, let's be honest, we've been kind of starved with content, so having something new, especially like this, if you want to try out Gnoblars only, it's definitely going to be a very difficult campaign. It's going to be something very strange, but also kind of fun for you to try out. Now, you can also mix these up with your standard ogres if you so wish. I've seen that the AI works a lot better. The ogre AI will recruit more armies. So the minor factions do end up being a tad more aggressive because they've got more cheaper units to work with, which I think works out stupidly well. And hopefully this just continues. Honestly, I thought this was just good overall. I'm even going to have this in my loadout just normally, so I can have the ogres being more active in general, which I think is going to work out quite well. So even though I'm playing different factions, it will be nice to see ogres being a bit more active, especially with how Warhammer 3 is tailored towards the chaos stuff, that the corruption keeps going all over, and they kind of steamroll over everyone else. This is a small but effective way to combat them. Now, if you're playing with just Gnoblars only, keep in mind you're not going to be doing a lot of damage, and you're going to have to bring loads and loads of armies. Think of this like playing Skaven slaves only, but having access to more different types. So Skaven slaves and clan rats. It's definitely fun. Honestly, if you want a challenge, this is the challenge for you. Give it a try. The mod's going to be linked in the description below. I'm going to have the rest of the battle play out so you can see how it goes. And yeah, honestly, this was really fun. I'm going to go back to playing it once I get some free time later on today.
Killing time! Legging! When do we eat? Run for it! Gnoblars! We's ogre mates! Where's me master? Get him dead! Spear him! We's ogre mates! I ain't no gobbo! Run for it! Nugget! Sure thing! Stop her! Run for it! Serve the ogres! Crush them! Stop her! Where's me master? We's ogre mates! Take it all! Serve the ogres! When do we eat? Pulled together!